cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your nightly vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Let's see who is in here. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay, hello, Nessie X, Cookie, Anita Harrell, Namaste, Lillian X is here. All right, Sandra M. Chanty is in the house. Let's get into it. Christopher Perkins, Buckhorst, DC. All right, December White is here. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I see you, Nubia Ra. Okay, Amutala is here. Okay, let's get into it. And shout out to my moderators for putting in work. I know they'll be here soon, guys. I know they'll be here soon. Hey, Coco V, we the people, Lisa Jackson, Hot Miss Equines. I am. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to be in here late tonight. Hey, Truth Brown. All right, so we got the news earlier that Jay-Z is dissing Diddy. Says that he doesn't know Diddy like that, and they were not friends. They were just business partners and all of that. I wonder what Diddy's thinking. Okay, I wonder what Diddy is saying. I bet that he's pretty upset. I mean, bad enough that, nobody spoke on his behalf in the beginning, but now to get totally dissed by someone that you called your brother, someone whom you said was your extended family, that had to sting. Okay, that had to sting. And if you recall, there was a video where Diddy once said that Jay-Z is the person that he called whenever he needed or whenever he was in trouble. And didn't, in fact, Jay-Z say, because I read this to you guys just the other day, didn't Jay-Z, in fact, say something about Diddy's the only one that's allowed to call him Sean? Or was it Diddy saying Jay-Z's the only one allowed to call him Sean? I mean, that just says to me that they were pretty close, okay? They were pretty close. This was a whole lot more than a professional relationship. Now, I see that the Breakfast Club, hey, Odd Negroes official, I see the Breakfast Club when they were talking about it. Charlemagne the devil tried to act like, oh, maybe they were just business partners. Charlemagne, sit down somewhere. Now, we all know, if we just are being honest, we didn't have to live with them. We didn't have to be around them. We didn't have to attend any parties. Just from looking at all the things that have transpired over these decades, we all could see clearly that they were friends. Okay? They were friends. But I guess not anymore, because Jay-Z said he doesn't have time to be dragged into Diddy's mess. Can't say that I blame him. Okay, hey, Mia just became a YouTube member. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, I appreciate you. So with that all being said, let's get into it. Now, Jeff ATL, watch what you say in the comments. Okay, watch what you say in the comments. Okay, Truth Brown said Diddy said it. Okay, I knew it was one of them said the other one. It's the only person allowed to call them Sean. But y'all aren't friends. Yeah, okay, Jay-Z. But anyway, let's get into it, because one person that Jay-Z hasn't dissed, hasn't denounced, and hasn't said he's never been friends with is Marina Abramovic. Okay, now I showed you all in a live last week how they have this very close relationship, and how she seemed to be channeling energy from Jay-Z, from his melanin, okay? And I also told you all how they both like the teachings of Aleister Crowley. Okay, and I told you a lot of more things about them. But here's the thing. I didn't tell you, because I was saving that for part 2, so here we are. Marina Abramovic was accused of being a cannibal. Now, I'm not going to say she is a cannibal, but I find it interesting that she was accused of being one. Okay? I find that all very interesting because, yeah, could you imagine someone saying that about you? Any of you imagine someone saying that about you? And then you'd have to ask yourself, why would someone be saying that about you? What would give them such a notion? Well, remember those emails I told you guys about? And I'm not going to get into it on here because I don't want any issues. But during that time when those emails of Hillary's came out, she's one of the people that were mentioned. Okay, she's one of the people that were mentioned. And that's how the whole conspiracy theory started. Okay, because we're going to say that was a conspiracy theory, likely no truth to it. But here's what I find interesting. So the other day when I talked to you guys about the blood magic that some of these people engage in and the witchcraft that goes on in Hollywood, cannibalism and witchcraft go hand in hand in some cases. And there have been other people that have been accused of it. So let's talk about it. And I'm talking about cannibalism. Let's talk about Armie Hammer, because he was accused of it, and he seemed to think it was all fun and games. In fact, he said that he liked the idea of people accusing him of cannibalism. Now, I don't know why anyone would get a kick out of that, because I don't find it interesting or funny at all. Now, that's him, in case you don't know who he is. So let's talk about it. Armie Hammer admits that he kind of likes the cannibal accusations against him, saying that it's wild. Yeah, that's what he said. Armie Hammer says that he now likes that he was infamously accused of being a cannibal. Hammer, who's 38, spoke about the cannibalism allegations that derailed his career on the first episode of his new podcast, Armie Hammer Time. He said, oh, it's wild. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like the cannibal stuff now. Now, the accusations are the thing that makes so much noise. Like, what makes more noise, he says. Okay? What makes more noise? The cannibal thing makes a whole lot, and you don't get an apology tour in this world. Like, someone says something about you, everyone believes it, and they move on with their lives to whatever it is that they're focused on because they've got their own lives. So the great news is that you've worked on yourself. This is what he says. When something like this happens, we do all this work on ourselves, not so that we can get the job back, but so that because we don't care if we get the job back. I think that's where I feel like I'm at right now. Now, allegations that the Call Me By Your Name actor fantasized about cannibalism began to surface in 2021. The following year, 2 women that Hammer allegedly had affairs with while married to his ex. Well, these women said that he told them that he supposedly had fantasies about eating them. Okay, please pay attention. Says that he was having affairs with these women while married to his ex, Elizabeth Chambers. Okay, they gave voice to the rumors when interviewed for the docuseries called House of Hammer. The women, Courtney Vucekovich and Julia Morrison, claimed that the star sent them messages describing cannibalistic fantasies that he in fact had about them. Now, with Hammer facing allegations of rape in addition to cannibalism, you see, because here's the thing. If someone is saying such things and being accused of something like that, you can best believe that there's something else nefarious to add along with that. Now, he was also accused of rape along with those accusations. Okay, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office confirmed in April of 2023 that the actor was being investigated for a possible assault. Hammer has consistently denied the allegations made against him. The LA District Attorney ultimately decided there was not enough sufficient evidence against him to support a trial, and so he was not charged. Now, Hammer spoke about the mission statement of his podcast in a video that he posted on Instagram the same day that the pod's debut episode went live. Hammer said that he aims to host long-form, interesting conversations with people who have tools or skills or have acquired wisdom. Well, I can tell you right now, I certainly wouldn't want to be on his podcast. And I want you to pay attention because he denied the accusations of the assault. But did he deny the cannibalism accusations? And he thought that was interesting. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, that's one person. Who's somebody else that was accused of cannibalism? Well, that would be Katy Perry. Katy Perry, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Katy Perry has also been accused of cannibalism. And in fact, her and the singer Kesha, well, they both were put in the hot seat and dragged online. That's Kesha. They both were dragged online for some things that they said about the Jeffrey Dahmer movie Monster. And here is a screenshot of the video to Katy Perry's song Bon Appetit. So you can just pretty much look at that picture and see how it was depicted. So Katy Perry and Kesha get slammed for Jeffrey Dahmer references in songs amid Monster release on Netflix. In Perry's song Dark Horse and Kesha's song Cannibal, both singers make references to serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. So although serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer is long deceased, his name has caused a buzz again in the news, this time in conjunction with pop stars Katy Perry and Kesha. Now, here's what I want you all to pay attention to. You know, a lot of these people, they really get a kick out of these cannibalistic people. They really get a kick out of this, and it's also sick and depraved, in my opinion, because why would you think that Jeffrey Dahmer is somebody to just be sitting around the dinner table talking about in a favorable way, or somebody to be mentioning or singing about in a song? Okay, this is also crazy, but you haven't heard anything yet. So anyway, in the wake of the movie Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, being released just under a week ago on Netflix, climbing to the top spot on the streaming service, fans are critical of two songs sung by Perry and Kesha that made crude references to the cannibalistic acts of Dahmer. Perry's song Dark Horse featuring Juicy J was released in 2013, while Kesha's Cannibal debuted in 2010. Now, in Perry's song, the lyrics in question are actually not sung by the American Idol judge herself, but rather rapped by Juicy J. He says, she's a beast. I call her Karma. Come back. She eats your heart out like Jeffrey Dahmer. Whoa, be careful. Try not to lead her on. One person wrote on Twitter saying, it still upsets me when I hear the line in that song, Dark Horse, she eats your heart out like Jeffrey Dahmer, and I always make my daughter turn the station. It's so disrespectful to the victims' families. I hope people remember them while watching Netflix. Sorry for their losses, while another person tweeted saying, why isn't anyone calling out Katy Perry for allowing such a vile and terrible lyric to be included in one of her hit songs? Jeffrey was a notorious serial killer, and Katie chose to romanticize his criminal and inhumane actions. I actually feel sick to my stomach. She needs to apologize. Well, people like this, they don't apologize because, like I said, they're very intrigued and almost obsessed in some way with these serial killers. Okay, or these people who are known cannibals, because there's another cannibal that's probably even worse. Not probably, he absolutely is even worse than Jeffrey Dahmer. His name is Albert Hamilton Fish, and they get a kick out of him too. And we're going to talk about him in a second. Now, in Kesha's song, she sings, "And for dessert, I'll suck your teeth, be too sweet, and you'll be a goner. I'll pull a Jeffrey Dahmer." One person declared, Kesha mentions Jeffrey Dahmer in her song Cannibal. Might as well cancel her. Another wrote in defense of both singers, saying, people are also trying to boycott Katy Perry's Dark Horse song because of a disrespectful line referencing Jeffrey Dahmer in the rap chorus. So that's happening now. And as well as Kesha on the song Cannibal. In the end, things are getting out of hand. Yeah, well, the songs are out of hand, if you ask me. I find it all interesting. Now, here's another thing. Fox News actually did a report on it, talking about how it was becoming trendy. Now, I'm going to play this video from Fox News. I'm going to have to fast forward because a portion of it includes the singer. Now, and I don't want any copyright issues, but also, this was in 2023. Remember the performance he did at the Grammys when he had on all that red? And it was just all these people dressed in red like devils, clearly on the stage. And it was all very satanic and demonic imagery that was involved. So they were talking about this on Fox News, and the clip was called, "Will Cannibalism Be the Next Trend in the pop music industry?" Okay, so let me scroll past all the music, and then I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, almost there. Hold on just a second. And some of this stuff I don't want to show in here anyway, even without the music, because it's pretty much so risque. I mean, people got cheeks out and all of that. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen. And that's him in his performance right there.
What's the next glass ceiling to be shattered? Is it cannibalism, or kind of where do we go from here?
Well, I think we're actually already seeing it. It's like satanic themes in pop music have been around since like the 70s and 80s with Kiss and Motley Crue. And of course, whenever an artist needs to have a little controversy, they're like, let's just put on some devil horns and do a satanic ritual. Like Rihanna did, or not Rihanna, Nicki Minaj did something similar in 2016. It's so tired and predictable and so boring. But what is new, I think, is Sam Smith is physically grotesque. And that seems to be how he's getting attention. He didn't always used to be. You have all these singers now who are just physically repulsive people, and that's what they're using to get attention. Maybe cannibalism's Lex, I don't know, but it's pretty disgusting. Madonna was another one at the event last night, but Madonna's 64. If she wants to age like a creature that escaped from a lab somewhere, that's her decision. Sam Smith is only 30. And we're celebrating his antics and the way he's sort of abused his body at this young age already.
What happened after Weimar? Do you know? Let's skip that. This is sponsored by Pfizer, which is the company whose products you're mandated to pay for and not allowed to complain about on television on pain of excommunication. And this is how they're spending their money. What do you think the message from Pfizer is? We're a wholesome company?
Yeah,
Trust us?
Okay, so you all heard that. All so ridiculous. Okay, at the end of the day, sitting there doing all that satanic stuff for the Grammys. And here's the thing, you know, that's not, just by coincidence. Of course, the Grammys, these music award shows usually have satanic themes and imagery. It's always something full of debauchery, one way or another, at the end of the day. So now let's talk about it because like I was telling you guys, they have all this witchcraft that goes on in the music industry and in Hollywood, and cannibalism is very much related to that. So let's talk about it because we're going to talk about the transference of it. And remember how I've told you guys about the transference of energy and all of those things? And so everyone, please like and share. And so let's get into it. Cannibalism was believed by many groups to be able to transfer traits or power or from the consumed to the consumer. Now, these abilities could be physical or metaphysical. An enemy who fought bravely before being vanquished was partly consumed so that the eater would absorb those positive qualities. For example, the legs of a swift runner were eaten to increase speed. The heart was eaten to increase bravery and courage. The arms to facilitate spear throwing or bowmanship, etc. However, the most common example of the transference of powers attributed to cannibalism is in relation to those believed to be witches. Witches consumed human flesh to increase their own powers by absorption. Now, I want you all to think about this because here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you never noticed how many of these children's stories have witches eating children. They literally have this these stories for your children. Cannibalism, it was used as a means of control, particularly in a social sense, to achieve dominance and vengeance. And in these instances, the victim was very representative of his or her group. It was also used to control the fertility of the land and of the group itself. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, we've talked about the above information on the cannibalism that witches use to garner their power. Both the witch used it to increase power or used by others to absorb it and thus nullify it. This ability to divert control from the wrong hands can be seen in the Pacific Islands and parts of South America, where it is a common practice to consume the bodies of the enemies and to prevent the dead from exacting revenge. But cannibal magic was also used to help control the environment and especially human and environmental fertility, as well as the balance of the cosmos. Yeah, I find it all so interesting. With that all being said, let's have a word from my sponsor before I move on to the next receipt. Lights up, everyone, please like and share.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. So use in these rituals and all of that. And like I said, these people who have been known to engage in cannibalism, I'm talking about murderers and serial killers and the like. These people praise them in pop culture. Okay, a lot of these people in the industry, they're down with that stuff and they think it's something interesting and intriguing for whatever reason. And let's not forget that they said the same thing about Aleister Crowley, whom Jay-Z enjoys his teachings apparently because he's walking around with his quote on his shirt, and also Marina Abramovic as well, Abramovich. Okay, so Exact says in the next life, these people are going to beg for mercy. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely believe it. Rashid says Abramowitch. That's a good one. Okay. Practice that with Jay-Z and company. Yeah. I absolutely believe so. Allegedly. Okay, we can't verify, but let's say allegedly. Okay, Nita to Mike's World says Ariana Grande is obsessed with Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, I think I remember reading that somewhere, beloved. I think I absolutely remember reading that somewhere. Nita to Mike's World said Jay-Z is one of them. You know, he absolutely seems to be. I mean, I can't say for sure, but at the end of the day, very friendly with somebody who's doing all these sick things. And let's not forget, you know, the exhibit that she did that she claimed was art, but it really was a ritual. She's pouring pig's blood on the walls, you know, and writing stuff in it. It's just all so sick. Okay. And then she also seems to be involved in S&M. Okay. Which is another thing that goes along with this, because if you remember the event that she did in the 70s called Rhythm Zero, where she had all these weapons and these tools, you know, of torture, basically is what they look like. And people were allowed to come and use them on her, and someone ended up slicing her neck. So it's just all real crazy. That's right. Nomaste says so. Nomaste says souls for sale. Exactly. Some people do anything to get fame and fortune. Now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now this tells us a bit about the rituals. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. Okay, so they talk about these people using this, using the blood from cannibalism in these rituals that they would have. They would have these goblets, these silver goblets. Okay, they would call it the Dixwell cup. The Dixwell cup, Dixwell cups. Okay, smaller sizes with two handles enabled communicants to pass it down the pew. Now they'd be actually doing this during a worship service. I want you all to think about this, because you know, if you grew up going to a Christian church, as I did, a Baptist church, we would have communion where, you know, we say we're going to drink of the blood and all of that or whatever. And of course, you're not really doing it, the blood of Jesus and eating of his flesh. It's all symbolism. But now this, they're saying that they were actually doing this for real, with literal blood in this Dixwell cup that they would pass around as they were taking communion. And yet its delicate handles encouraged them to treat the precious, to treat it with care, this precious liquid with care. Even as the ritual united the members of the community, the communion vessels also enclosed and protected the body of the consumed. This all sounds so nefarious. Are y'all listening to this? Are y'all listening to this? Now, this is some type of ritual that they were engaging in. All sounds real crazy. So now let's talk about this man, Albert Hamilton Fish. Now, this is a person that they also say is very trendy in pop culture. And a lot of these celebrities are very, you know, caught up with some of the things that this man is accused of doing. Not accused only, he was convicted of it. He was given and sentenced to death via the electric chair. This man was going around and murdering children and eating them and drinking their blood. So let's talk about him. His name is Albert Hamilton Fish. This is one of the worst serial killers I've ever heard of. And in fact, I actually read about him and studied him when I was in college. I did a whole paper on him. Now, I'm not going to read all this information, but I do want to tell you all about some of the sick things that he did, some of the things that he was engaged in. And in fact, some of these depraved fetishes that he had. And there were a lot of them. Okay, so let's talk about it. And then he eventually got caught. because he wrote a letter to this family bragging about how he had eaten their child. Okay, bragging about how he eaten their child. And so with that all being said, hold on, let me pull that up real quick. Well, first let's talk about these fetishes that he was engaged in, because this is all just real sick. One of the things that he enjoyed doing was called flagellation. Now, flagellation is the act of whipping or beating the body with an implement such as a whip, a rod, or a cat o' nine tails. How many of you know what a cat o' nine tails is? It's like when you take this instrument like a stick or something, or you take a bunch of pieces of leather, okay, leather strips, bind them together, and you can put nails or whatever in them. He literally liked to beat himself with that. This man was really sick, okay? Also, he was an exhibitionist, okay, which is the act of exposing privates and stuff like that. He liked to do all kind of sick stuff like that. He was into voyeurism, okay, which is the practice of watching, okay, other people have these intimate behaviors. And to me, this sounds like some of the things in the lawsuits against Diddy, because remember how they said, several people said in their lawsuits that there were people watching when they were having these things done. Now, mind you, this is all alleged. Diddy maintains his innocence, but in several of those lawsuits, there were supposedly there were allegations of other people being in the room to watch what was going on. When you think about the lawsuit with Harv Pierre, Diddy, and the third person that was there, but they didn't name that person, the young woman says that she was taken into the bathroom in grates, and then Diddy sat out in the hallway watching, and all of this stuff. So just real sick stuff. And like I said, a lot of these people, are just obsessed with some of this man's work. And some of these things that he did, we hear about in these lawsuits, not just his, okay, not just his, some things that were alleged against Kevin Spacey, what's his name, Jeffrey Epstein, and all of that too. Okay, so anyway, and there was another thing that he was involved in, and it's called piquerism. Now, I hope I'm saying it right. It's called piquerism. Okay, now this is derived from the French word piquer, which means to prick. Okay, and it refers to the sexual interest in penetrating the skin of another person with sharp objects such as pins, needles, razors, knives. It all just sounds sick. And sometimes this is serious enough to cause extreme injuries or even death. Yeah. And this is what some people engage in. It is a sort of paraphilia as well as a form of sadism. The most frequently targeted area of the bodies are the breast, the rear end, and the groin. Cannibalism also, and we already know what that is, consuming people. This is what this man was engaged in. And let me just put his face up on the screen. So you see exactly who I'm talking about. Albert Hamilton Fish. That's his name. Now, this man is the worst serial killer that I've ever heard of, quite frankly. The worst one that I've ever heard of, quite frankly. I know they try to say that Samuel Little was the most prolific serial killer in America. I don't know where they got that from, because this man, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Ted Bundy, they were all worse than Samuel Little as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, goes on to say that he was also into corporophagia, which is a condition described as the compulsive consumption of feces, okay, eating poop. Now, the etymology stems from the Greek origins of kopros, meaning feces, and phagian, meaning to eat. Also sick. He was also into urophilia, which is the same thing, only it's with urine, okay? And just all disgusting. Now, and then he was also into hematolagnia, which is a fetish for blood. And you can tell by hema, okay, that's always something to do with blood. And that's why they called him the Vampire of Brooklyn. This man had many names. He was known as the Gray Man. He was known as the Vampire of Brooklyn. And he was called the Werewolf of Wisteria. They had several different names for this man. Okay, so all so sick. And you have to ask yourselves, what kind of people would be caught up or find interest in this man? He was absolutely sick and nefarious. And not only that, when he was executed, or before he was executed, he actually said that that was fine with him, and that would be a pain that he had never endured. And he seemed like he was looking forward to it. Okay, also sick. They also have pictures of x-rays of his pelvis area, like his growing area, and there were needles that he'd embedded in himself down there. Just absolutely insane, okay? Absolutely insane. Truth Brown said he looks like a whole vampire. Okay, exactly. And I wonder if that's where they got the title for that movie with Eddie Murphy, Vampire of Brooklyn. It wasn't that the name of it. I wonder if they got that from him. But now, like I said, this man was going around murdering little defenseless children. Now, he did murder some adults too, but he specifically was taking the lives of children. And how he ended up getting caught was that he actually, hold on, they want me to put my email, excuse me, put my email in here. He actually got caught because he kidnapped this little girl, Grace Budd, kidnapped her and took her off and killed her and ate her. And then he wrote this heinous letter to her parents, basically to taunt her parents and the police. And that's what got him caught. And the reason he got caught is because not only did he send them that letter, but he also wrote it on stationery that had the Masons emblem on there. Okay, it had the Masons letterhead. And they were able to trace it back to the boarding house that he stayed at. And that's how he was captured. Now, I'm going to read you this letter, and I just want you to think about how gruesome this is. And for a parent, to have to read something like this. This was sent to her parents in November of 1934. An anonymous letter to Grace Budd's parents ultimately led the police to Fish. Budd's mother was illiterate and could not read the letter herself, so she had to let her son read it. And this is unaltered. These words are exactly what he said. Dear Mrs. Budd, in 1894, a friend of mine shipped as a deckhand on the steamer Tacoma, Captain John Davis. They sailed from San Francisco to Hong Kong, China. On arriving there, he and other friends went ashore and got drunk. When they returned, the boat was gone. Now, at that time, there was famine in China. Meat of any kind was $1 to $3 a pound. So great was the suffering among the poor that all children under 12 were sold for food in order to keep others from starving. A boy or a girl under 14 was not safe in the streets. You could go in any shop and ask for steak chops or stew meat. Part of the body of the boy or girl would be brought. It would be brought out and just what you wanted cut from it. Can you imagine? Now, I don't know if he was lying or telling the truth with this part, but this is what he said. A boy or a girl's behind, which is the sweetest part of the body, and sold as veal cutlet, brought the highest price. John stayed there so long he acquired a taste for human flesh. On his return to New York, he stole 2 boys, 1 7, 1 11, took them to his home, stripped them, tied them in a closet, then burned everything they had on. Several times every day and night, he spanked them, tortured them to make their meat good and tender. First, he killed the 11-year-old boy because he had the fattest, back door. And of course, the most meat was on it. Every part of his body was cooked and eaten except the head, the bones, and the guts. He was roasted in the oven, all of his back door, boiled, broiled, fried, and stewed. Now, just imagine a parent reading this. And their child's missing, and they let their child go off with this man. And just to give you the information on how he came up to have this child, here's how he was able to get their child, a beautiful little girl, Grace Budd. She was 10 years old. He actually had put out an ad in the newspaper saying that he was looking for a teenager to help him do some work and that he was going to pay them. So this family was poor. They didn't have much. So their 18-year-old son, Edward, he was the one that answered the ad. And so the killer went to see him. Albert Hamilton Fish went to see him with the plans of taking the boy off as though he's taking him for work and to kill him and eat him. But when he got there, and he brought gifts of some kind of cheese and strawberries, okay, acting like he's all nice and friendly. And then he's looking like a feeble old man because this is how he looked when he arrived that day. He was older at that time. That's how he's looking. So he's looking like a harmless old man. So when he got there and he realized that Edward Budd, the son, was, big and strong, and he knew that he wouldn't be able to overtake him. So he set his sights on Grace, the little 10-year-old. So he lied and told her parents that he had a niece who was 5 years old and she was having a birthday party, and he asked them if Grace could go with him. And the mother said no, because they didn't know this man and she didn't trust him. But the father said, oh, let her go. She never gets to go anywhere, because again, they were poor. And he'd given Grace 2 quarters, 50 cents. Okay, so the family unfortunately let her go. So that's how he got a hold of her. So anyway, it goes on to say that he was roasted in the oven, all of his rear end, boiled, broiled, fried, and stewed. The little boy was next, went the same way. And at that time, I was living in 409 East 100th Street near Right Side. He told me so often how good human flesh was, I made up my mind to taste it. On Sunday, June the 3rd, 1928, I called on you at 406 West 15th Street, brought you pot cheese and strawberries. We had lunch. Grace sat on my lap and kissed me. I made up my mind then to eat her. On the pretense of taking her to a party, you said she could go. I took her to an empty house in Westchester. I had already picked it out. When we got there, I told her to remain outside. She picked wildflowers. I went upstairs and stripped all my clothes off. I knew if I did not, I would get her blood on them. When all was ready, I went to the window and called her. Then I hid in the closet until she was in the room. When she saw me all naked, she began to cry and tried to run down the stairs. I grabbed her, and she said she would tell her mama. First, I stripped her. Oh, how she did kick, bite, and scratch. I choked her to death, then cut her into small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms to cook it and eat it. How sweet and tender her little rump was, roasted in the oven. It took me 9 days to eat her entire body. I did not F her, though I could had I wished. She died a virgin. Now that's absolutely sick. Okay? That is absolutely sick. Now, why anybody would think that this is somebody that they need to be obsessing over, talking about, admiring in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you have to be a very sick person. You have to be a very depraved-minded person. Okay? Just knowing the things that this man did, he was a whole devil. And like I said, sadly, there are some people who absolutely get a kick out of these things. They find it interesting. And I absolutely do not know why. So with that all being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. So here's what they say. Eating human flesh and excrements, drinking human blood, and always having a meal served in the skull of a person whose corpse has been ransacked on a funeral pyre is a necessary path to losing all of one's inhibitions and following a trail into the night side of Eden. Now, this is some people who follow the teachings of Aleister Crowley, as Jay-Z allegedly has, and Marina Abramovic. They say, if you have ever heard of ritual cannibalism, then the first thing I have to tell you is that in the leafy and quiet suburbs, way back in the 1930s, Aleister Crowley entertained various members of cult, aristocracy, and championed an extreme form of yoga, which is practiced in India by the Aghori tribe. The Aghori are also written up in a book by one of Crowley's successors, who claims that eating the human flesh and excrement and drinking the blood and having it served as a meal out of a skull is very interesting. And I want you all to pay attention, because who else has been taking pictures with skulls? Who else has been taking pictures with skulls? Hold on just a second. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. I'll tell you who. Let me pull this picture up. Marina Abramovic. If you look at the thumbnail, that I use, here she is right here. Drinking out of a skull. This is all just sick stuff. Like, I mean, you cannot make this up. There she is right there. There she is right there. So please pay attention. Now, it goes on to say that ritualized cannibalism has been a pastime for cults in India, Egypt, France, Denmark, and many other nations since the dawn of history. Drinking human blood was accurately described by the Hampstead whistleblower, by the whistleblower children, that even described it as tasting of metal, which it does, they say. This is all so crazy. Now, how would they know that? Now, they say cults, the skull cults, are some of the oldest cults on the planet. From around 26,000 BC to 19,500 BC, an artistic European civilization flourished, which carved amazing artwork and who erected the great standing stone circle rings. However, a new priesthood came in and set themselves up as the ruling people. And I don't want to say the word that they use. I don't want to say the word that they use, but it starts with an E. Okay. And then it looks like it has the word light in the middle. I don't want to say that word because of YouTube. But anyway, these are the people that were in this circle. And they say they engaged in a culture of human sacrifice, much the same as the Aztecs in Central America, ancient Britain. And unfortunately, it was taken over by a barbaric, cannibalistic culture. And this is all just so sick. And they actually have pictures of them with these skulls and stuff. Drinking out of these skulls and everything. I'm going to share my screen. And these are the people that they claim Aleister Crowley was hanging out with. All sick. As you can see right there. And they talk about cannibalism and ritual sacrifice. Attempts to steal life. I want you all to listen, because how many times have I been telling you all about these people who engage in these nefarious things? Okay, about these people who allegedly engage in these nefarious things, harvesting the energy from people's chakras, okay, trying to snatch people's souls and things like that. And so this is what it says. Cannibalism and ritual sacrifice attempts to completely steal the life force and the spirit of the victim. A physical death and a ritual death. So the death happens on two levels, a physical death and a ritual death. You know what that reminds me of? Hold on. Just thought about something. That reminds me of something that is very crazy. Hold on. I'm going to please like and share, because there is a story that I did, and this is a true story. This is a true story that I did. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Hold on, guys. If you all remember the story that I did about the guy, I'm not going to find it right now. I don't feel like looking for it. But listen, there was a story that I did on the guy who shot Ricky in the movie Boys in the Hood. In the movie Boys in the Hood, the guy who was the shooter, the blood that shot Ricky, that's what they labeled him as, Lloyd Avery II. He was an actor. He ended up going to prison. And while he was in prison, he got converted. He became a Christian. They called him Baby Jesus. And they ended up putting him in the cell with this man who was a known Satanist and who was very vicious and violent. He'd been in prison for 17 years for murdering and raping his own sister. And nobody had ever shared a cell with him. They kept this man isolated and by himself because they knew he was dangerous. But they put Lloyd Avery II in there with him, and this man murdered him and did a ritual with his body. He put his blood all over the walls. He said that he did so to trap his soul within the cell so that his soul could not be free, even in death. This is the sick thing that people like this do. These are the sick things that they think. Absolutely crazy. Rashid says cannibal villages exist all over the world. Absolutely. Nia said, yep, Queen, I heard about him. Yes, absolutely sick and depraved. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, when they say this stuff is trending in the music industry, you should ask yourselves why. Why would something like this be trending in the music industry? Why would Armie Hammer think that it's cute or funny or, be laughing about the fact that people are accusing him of cannibalism, saying that he's cool with that, he's fine with that? This is all crazy. Why would Kesha and Katy Perry be talking about Jeffrey Dahmer in their songs? Why does Katy Perry have a song called Bon Appetit? Why does she have a song called Bon Appetit where she has images of cannibalism? Why does Kesha have a song called Cannibal? Why is Lady Gaga, or why did Lady Gaga go around wearing a suit or dress made out of meat? Please make that make sense. Okay? This is all real crazy at the end of the day. I mean, I just find it all interesting. I find it all interesting. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. I had another receipt I wanted to find. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. So anyway, with that all being said, there was a YouTuber who also was supposedly, allegedly investigated for cannibalism. Now, I'm not going to say that person's name because I don't know how that all turned out, but it was absolutely a YouTuber who was allegedly investigated for cannibalism, which I found all interesting. Now, listen to this. They talk about English and French rituals that have cannibalism involved, and they find it very provocative. They say that some of the religious studies that scholars have talked about, they define communion as the communal consumption of consecrated bread and wine. This interprets communion more broadly as the ritualistic consumption of the human body as an expression that's supposed to be of community. But groups engaged in reality engage in ritual cannibalism. And they do this to gain powers, enhance their black magic so that it works more powerfully, and also as a form of symbolically and literally destroying the human body. All sick as far as I'm concerned. Okay, all absolutely sick and depraved. So anyway, with that all been said, I'm about to be out of here. Hold on. Roberta says, I remember when Kesha, Katy Perry, and Gaga all had those songs and music videos at circa 2005 to 7. Also add on Adam Levine and several others. I knew then what was up. They told on themselves. Yeah, they always do. They absolutely always do. This is all so sick. TC Dan says communion in retrospect is a very weird thing to participate in my opinion. I mean, it's almost like symbolic of cannibalism. It's almost like symbolic of cannibalism. Oh, and this is what I was going to tell you guys. Okay, so just think about, as I was telling you about these stories for the kids, right? Hansel and Gretel, for example. Hansel and Gretel and cannibal witches. And so they say, have you ever noticed that cannibalism shows up in a lot of fairy tales? Okay, they've got the man-eating giant in Jack and the Beanstalk. In the original version of Snow White, the evil queen actually eats Snow White's heart with salt. Did you all know that? Because I sure didn't. And then there's the juniper tree, a more obscure tale in which the stepmother kills her stepson, cooks him up, and feeds the lad to his father. Hansel and Gretel, that's another story. Now, you probably remember the evil stepmother who convinced her husband to abandon the children in the woods before the family starved. But this stepmother was actually a late revision of the Grimm brothers' story. In the original Hansel and Gretel, it was their own mother who wanted to get rid of them. Once lost in the woods, the kids stumble across a house made entirely of cakes and sweets. Now, this architectural wonder is designed to lure children into the clutches of a witch who cooks up the children and eats them. Interestingly, the witch doesn't seem to be lacking in things to eat or worldly wealth either. Okay, because she already had food. She simply preferred the taste of children, of their flesh. So the witch turns Gretel into a slave and fattens up Hansel for slaughter. But the children escape the gruesome death when Gretel kills the witch first by shoving her into an oven. Okay, yeah. I mean, just think about this. This is all real quite crazy. And they say, but where did this cannibal witch come from? Well, firstly, witches have been a part of German folklore and German history for a long time. When people think about witch hunts, they often harken back to the hysteria of the Salem witch trials. In contrast, the witch hunts of Germany during the Middle Ages, they killed an estimated 40,000 victims by burning them at the stake. Clearly, the fear of dark magic and evil women was rampant in medieval Germany. But where did the bit about witches eating children come from? Fairy tale monsters devouring children is far from a new thing. In fact, one of the most classic German monsters was the Cannibalism, which means child eater. This character is basically the German boogeyman, a ferocious orc who carries a bag of kidnapped babies to snack on. I'm sorry, what? In German lore, witches were the female equivalent of the Cannibalism, so it went without saying that the witches also ate little children. Cannibal witches were a thing in Germany centuries or even millennia before the Grimm brothers even wrote Hansel and Gretel. This is all crazy. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention. Now, this is something that they've always talked about. And I saw someone say something about Molech or Moloch in the chat. Yeah. And that's also mentioned in the Bible, believe it or not. Okay, that's also mentioned in the Bible, except they don't call it Moloch, they call it Molech. But it's the same premise. All right. Anyway, so with that all been said, everyone, please like and share. Okay. Now, as I said, Lennon said, poor innocent children, cover them all, Lord. Exactly. I mean, and all these children coming up missing, there's no telling what's going on with them. And you heard in one of those articles I was reading, it said that these children had talked about these things, that they'd witnessed these things and seen it, and said they tasted the blood and that it tastes like metal. Okay. So I want you all to pay attention, because some of these things are stories, but some of these things happen for real. Some of these people absolutely do these things, and it's all so sick and depraved. And we should all be asking ourselves why. Why are people thinking this is cute? Why are people, using symbolisms about this stuff? And why is it trending in the music industry? Because it absolutely is trending. I mean, if they're talking about it on the news, and I want you to pay attention, though, because when Tucker Carlson was talking about that, he was laughing as if it's a joke. But if you all remember when I told you all about the zombie apocalypse program, what was it called? The Zombie Apocalypse Preparedness Act. Remember when I told you all they had this set of instructions on the CDC's website? I did a whole video about it back in 2020. And then after I did the video, days later, they talked about it on the news. And then they were all laughing about it, saying, oh, yeah, it's true. But they were laughing like it was a joke. And then they tried to say, oh, we just use the term zombie because that's something that's, big in pop culture. But we really were talking about earthquakes or talking about hurricanes. Yeah, sure they were. Okay, sure they were. I just want you all to pay attention. Bobo, I know exactly what you're talking about because I read those emails. I absolutely read them. One Who Cares says, great teaching, Queen. Thank you. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, so with that all been said, I love you all to life. Hold on. Nia said something about Hillary Clinton and those missing Haitian kids, shaking my head. Yes, let's not forget the missionary who went over there and tried to run up out of there with like 33 children. She was trying to literally steal those children. She got caught and arrested, and then Bill and Hillary went over there to her rescue. That's what they did. They went over there to her rescue. Okay, but some of our people love these Democrats. At the end of the day, I think they're all nefarious, both parties, and that's just me. Okay, so that all been said, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this night. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Also, if you missed the broadcast I did earlier about Jay-Z totally dissing Diddy and act like he don't know him like that now, please make sure you check that out. Okay, M. Shani says, awesome live, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, so until next time, beloveds, I'll talk to you all again soon. I'll see you in the morning with your morning wake-up call. Peace. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you guys my famous lines. Okay, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And I'm sorry, but if we ever need the Most High, we sure do need him now, because we're literally living under spiritual warfare. It is hell on earth. There are demons literally walking amongst us, cloaked in human flesh. Okay, and we should all be wondering what's really going on. And also, for those of you who missed the broadcast that I did about the drones, please make sure you check that out, because I absolutely believe it's our own government. Okay, I absolutely believe it's our own government. And so until next time, beloveds, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got